Oh man, as Ben hit the clapboard, I realized, man, I should have pulled out a Dark Tower quote for this because I've been riding that bandwagon for, I don't know, since I read The Dark Tower like fucking half a decade ago. Actually, shit, more. Anyways, Stephen King aside, this is the ChairQAsition for the Tower of Time. It's developed by Event Horizon, which is not a Stephen King property, and it's done on the Unity engine. What is it? Tower of Time is an incredible adventure packed with over 50 hours of gameplay, handcrafted levels, and a rich story told through cinematics. We'll get to that. Taking a classic RPG gameplay to the next level, Tower of Time features flexible character development, thousands of pieces of loot and equipment, and a complex tactical arrow time, real-time combat system time has come again. Time. Hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way. This is the ChairQAsition. This is where we take a game, we play it for a little bit. Maybe we show you some footage of it, like what you're seeing right now. Audio listeners, too bad. And we talk about it, give our thoughts, and maybe perform a little bit of quality assurance that should have been done before they pushed this shit to prod. The devs did send us some keys for this, so thank you very much, Event Horizon. Now let's proceed to tear your game apart. Welcome to the ChairQAsition. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. 4 chairs means that it's awesome. And we apply those to our categories of doom, mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ven, you were the only one who had issues getting this up and running? Question mark?
Listen, man, I wouldn't say I had issues getting it up and I never have issues getting it up. Good turnaround. Who told you? Check it out, man. You know, really, there is nothing to complain about with this game except for the fucking performance, man. This thing struggles to hold 60 at 1080p on a 980. Like, well, it's a Unity title. It's probably CPU bound, hammering on that one thread. No, Unity's actually done a good job of sorting that. On the 1700, all 16 threads are humming along nicely to the point to where the 1700's like, what, is there game running? I can't tell. But outside of the dog poop performance, also during the cinematics audio popping. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but you know, I can't give it a clean bill of health, man. I can give it 3 chairs, but yeah, not 100% on that, man.
On Fedora 26 64-bit with the i7-6700K GTX 980, yeah, I noticed it was not hitting 60 frames at 1080p, but also I had 2 screen recorders running on that, so I don't know how well that ran in isolation. I didn't check when I played it afterwards because I didn't care to. Everything worked fine out of the box. I clicked play. I didn't have to edit INI files. God damn it, fucking Neverwinter Nights. I'm still salty at you for that. Yeah, I'll give it a solid 4. It's fine. Pedro?
Yeah, I did notice some of the audio popping especially with the intro cutscene, but beyond that, I didn't hear any more of it, so I'm just gonna call that a one-off for that particular cutscene. And I didn't really notice any of the performance issues, so 4 chairs for me.
All right, confirmation bias incoming. Exactly. I was about to ask you, what are we all running it on? 1604? I'm
1604 with a Ryzen 1600 and GTX 1080.
I'm doing 1710 with a 980. 1700, and Jordan's tipping my lady.
I said that already. Fedora 26 64-bit, i7-6700K. Anyways, that is 3 chairs for Mixed with Working.
3 chairs.
3. Listen, come by old Linux Gamecast, ChairQAsition, get a free chair. Anyways, shiny and sounds. I mean, okay, I'll give the game that it has some decent production quality, much better than we've seen in a lot of games that we've covered on the show.
Oh hell yeah!
The backgrounds are really well done. There's like generic fantasy orchestral. We're trying to be Hans Zimmer, Lord of the Rings type shit, and you just turned out to be some generic music that you just kind of put in the background. That's all well and good. But really, when it boils down to the gameplay. The characters are just kind of like these random Pillars of Eternity style sprites running around. And when like the combat gets really chaotic, you just lose your character, especially when there are certain powers where you can't click on your character icon to target a specific character. You have to click on the character itself. It becomes like, what the fuck am I doing? Did I aim it on the right thing? I don't know. It's committed it. That actually impacts gameplay. And so I have to ding it a chair for that. Otherwise, I might have gotten 3, but instead it gets DOS.
Okay, I didn't have any serious issues with it. I mean, it looks all right. Listen, when this game starts off, you're like, oh shit, I might be in for something, because you never know. You never know, Brad. You don't. But it's got decent background music. Everything's going on. The environments, holy hell, wicked detail. It's like, that's really good. Almost to a fault, because the character models don't look as good as the backgrounds. Its character models are perfectly fine, but compared to the tower that you're crawling around in, yeah, not so much. But yeah, generic epic background music definitely did it. There's a decided lack of voice acting in this, really. Unfortunately, I'm going to say, because you might need it, but Jordan's going to touch on that a little bit later. It looks fine. Unfortunately, I knew it was Unity right out of the box, because the Jaggies I couldn't do fuck all about unless I go into the NVIDIA control panel to set the anti-aliasing manually. That should have been in the options menu. That's another reason to like, hey man, can't give you 4 chairs on that, because it makes something, it very like has a PS1 vibe to it when you see the Jaggies like that in 2018. I'll give it a solid 2 though. Pedro?
It looks good, but there's something about between the characters and the world. It seems like the characters stick out. It's like they don't belong, which, having them stick out like that, it's kind of ironic considering how finicky the game is when you want to select a character from the game world instead of clicking the little thing, but more on that later. Aesthetically speaking, it works. I'm still not a big fan of the story dump, as in, oh, here's a cutscene. You don't get to play the game while the cutscene's happening. Oh, here's a big wall of text that literally freezes the game and obscures everything else. Go ahead, read the story. How about you tell me the story as we go?
What about the pop-up menus that you can't really figure out where the close button is sometimes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, mash escape.
Yep, it's just, okay, am I back in the game? Okay, right. But yeah, that's for the controls, that's coming up, but it looks and sounds competent. I can't really, it's not the worst we've seen by any means or measure, and if the characters didn't stick out as much as they do, I'd probably give it 4 chairs, but as it stands, 3.
Well, poo to you, Pedro. Your opinion doesn't matter. Again, 2 chairs for the shiny and the sounds. Why don't you tell us about some controls while you're at it, because you're the control stickler.
Well, I am. And, you wouldn't really think that the simple omission of a camera rotation feature would introduce such a feeling of limitation to the game. Now, in my opinion, games should be about player agency. It's all about the mechanics, it's all about how you interact with the game, but not letting me rotate the camera or even giving me the option of a quote-unquote free camera outside of combat when you're doing the exploration-y bits, it's you're literally taking away my ability to interact with your game how I want to. You're taking away my agency. But more on that later. Again, also, speaking about the character selection cock-ups, I had to resort to using the keyboard for selecting the characters because half the time it wouldn't select the character I wanted, and the other half it selected a character when I just wanted to tell the other character I had selected at that point to move close to that first one. It's like, God, that's infuriating. But it works, and it gets 3 chairs.
Yeah, I mean, you saw me on the stream where it's like I was very explicitly going, key press, go here, key press, go here. And then sometimes like the 2 guys are like tied together by some invisible leash or something. Like the shit that you see parents put on children so that they don't run away at amusement parks. But like, yeah, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna come with you. No, that's not what I told you to do. Fuck off. Stay behind the cover and shoot. Oh yeah. Listen, at least you can rebind the controls. That's the thing. I switched it from using the arrow keys to pan the camera to WASD. I put the moves on the F keys, and I put the party members on the number keys, and that worked reasonably well. Like Pedro, though, I would have severely appreciated a camera rotation thing because it gives you the game presents itself as isometric, but that's not true. The maps are 3D, and characters will wander behind things, and then you can't see them, and you can't see what they're doing. And then you're like, well, shit, this is a combat. I'm supposed to strategize. I can't do that if I can't see where my people are. And that just gets really annoying. Yeah, much like Pedro said, yeah, I brought up the selection issues. And let's be real. Like, the rules of the combat aren't necessarily great. It's basically just a steroided up tower defense game with like a little bit of MOBA thrown in there for good measure, and it doesn't really work. That's more for the fun section, but the controls function and you can rebind them into something that's remotely playable. So you can get 3 chairs on that, but there are some fundamental issues with how the game expects you to control or to interact with it. Then
there's genuinely an option in this game to build a wall. I'm just going to leave that there as I continue on explaining the controls. You know, everything basically works with this. It works out of the box backwards like you would expect it to, with the camera movement on the actual arrow keys. Quit doing that. Because, yeah, step 1, put it on WASD. No camera rotation. Kind of sucks because you know it's not, you know everything's in 3D. Why you do that? I mean, come on. Seriously? It does get a little fucky if you get your gerbil outside. I have 5 monitors in front of me, so I go outside every now and then. Then it flips out. Usually when you're in the middle of combat, that sucks. It doesn't reward laziness because, say, you're in a tower, right? So you're at point A, you can clearly see way the fuck down where point B and C are. So you're just like, all right, I don't want to click 19 fuck mothering times. And you click point C and the game's like, what? I'm not going to register that. No, you need to click 19 times in order to get down this staircase and go around the corner. I'm not going to do pathfinding for you. So it kind of sucks. Wasn't a big fan of that, but basically everything works, man. Can't give it 100%, but I'll throw in a 3.
All right, well, that's 3 chairs for controls with a big old asteroid next to it. Mm-hmm. They work. You can play the game, but it's not particularly good. Fun. Ben, you want to take fun?
Sure, why not? Upside down tower. Yep. Check. Is there a throne in the tower? Check. This. We're not spoiling anything. This is like the first 5 minutes. Never gets around to explaining how gravity works in this fucking game because the tower's upside down in the fucking ground and you walk in and everything's right side up. I didn't get that, and
you can't explain that.
Dude, tide goes in, tide goes out. But the game, like, way too quickly became just item barfing. The game, kind of like Torchlight 2, Victor Vran. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Personal opinion. This is our subjective area. I just really do lose interest because I'm spoiled for choice. Especially with Victor Vran, it is super guilty of this, where you have like 6 pages and half of them are duplicate items and stuff like that. You find yourself doing the equivalent of stat juggling. You're like, wait, do I want to use this? Do I want to use this? And when you should be playing the game, learning the story and stuff like that, you shouldn't be in item menu screens. I know Jordan loves shit like that, but that's just not my cup of chainsaw. The combat, agree with you, Jordan, it's a little bit boring. Not much to it. Yeah, go find a place, hide, shoot with a ranged, and attack with your tank. The dialogue, it's a bit of a slag. I wouldn't have minded some bad voice acting or something. It's nope. The game kind of lies to you. It starts off with this epic. It's like, and I will tell you the tale and all that. Like, all right, this thing's going to talk to me. It's going to read me a bedtime story while I'm playing it. Fuck no, it's not. It's just going to stop. Then you got to read. Reading's hard, kids. Yeah, would have definitely preferred even some bad voice work on that. It does have the mechanic like Darkest D's, where you have an armory, then you have the library and barracks and stuff like that that could be upgraded when you return to town. That's neat. You got to get blueprints. You got to upgrade your stuff. I understand that. I was like, okay, I get it. A lot of work went into this. It's well done in that aspect, but it just doesn't fit together quite right. And on top of performing like poo for no reason whatsoever, yeah, it's not my cup of chainsaw. I don't know why. It's just I'm not going to go back and play this. It's not a bad game. It's a well done game. Maybe here's the thing. What do you guys think? It's in that mushy area between clearly an indie title, but not quite a triple A. It's missing just a few of the little bits, man. I'm going to throw just one because I don't think I'm going to come back to it. maybe it's a little too generic too. Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, oh man, my biggest problem with this game, gameplay aside, is just the fucking dialogue is so long-winded. It gives Pedro a fucking run for his money. But seriously, like by I've edited this guy's writing before, and it's just like, oh my god, shut up, just get to the point. By the time you get through everything, or at least for me, like I gave it a shot. You saw me do it on the stream, where it's like, okay, I'm reading this, I'm trying to comprehend, and then like after the second freaking novel, like Game of Thrones length novel I had to read, I'm just like, no. And when they say 50 hours of gameplay, I'm pretty sure that's where like the 50 hours actually comes from. Is just like actually just sitting through and reading shit. Here's the thing, like I immediately want to compare it to Divinity just because that's what I've been playing a lot of recently. And Divinity gives you so many options. You can, especially in terms of dialogue, you very rarely ever have to sit through someone's entire rant. At some point, they'll say, well, what do you want to say to this guy? Do you want to be the asshole? Do you want to say, go on? Do you want to dig into this in a little more detail? And some missions require you to do that, but you're under no obligation whatsoever to actually engage with that part of the game. Every time you run into some dialogue thing, oh, we gotta go talk. You get the freaking proper noun dump of like the citadel of Angmar in the village of like Waterdeep and Sculpt. I don't care. Like there's a thing in narrative fiction. It's called show don't tell. Show me things. Show me the impact of it, and then say, and let me ask questions, and then reveal answers, and then it's a more satisfying thing as opposed to, oh yeah, you worked really really hard on your fucking fantasy Dungeons and Dragons game. Way to give me the entire exposition right off the bat. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. I was intrigued by it earlier. The Final Fantasy style combat system where it's like, oh, you walk in, you don't have to fight everyone immediately. You can come back when you're ready, even though there's not really much of a point because there's no fucking combats and the leveling process is so slow. You can the whole like, oh well, now you go from like overworld map to like, where the fuck is this? This is an entirely different location here. Where are we fighting? Did we go into the combat zone? I don't know. It feels like the overworld exploration is really tacked on, and that's kind of bad because the tower is gorgeous. I want to explore it. I want to do like the role-playing game thing and see what this environment has to offer, and the game doesn't really enable me to do that. I would have strongly preferred this sort of game to be more satellite rainy, where I have the full run of it, and I have to be careful. I have to think about where I'm going in the tower, plan fights accordingly. And I think that would have been a much more rewarding experience for what this game was going for. As it currently stands, it's just okay, but the combat, which is where the meat of the game is just so boring that I can't give it more than 2 chairs.
Okay, I got to throw in a little interjection. One of the things that I forgot that I left out, I'm watching Pedro's video right now, is when you're in an actual fight, this is a boss fight you're looking at now, but just a regular fight, it gives you a percentage of how many more enemies are coming. Fuck that. That's TMI. Way too much TMI. Also, you get ambushed. Fuck that too, because you're just walking along and it's like, ooh, surprise ambush. And then it goes into, as you see, fight mode, which is no different than regular mode other than, hey, look, it's fight mode now, but we're going to load this entire thing. Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, and Jordan brought up Divinity because, well, the comparison is obvious. You start off with 2 characters and you do like the party-based combat, but that's about where it ends, because the reason Divinity Original Sin is a great game is the sheer amount of freedom or agency that you're given as a player. Freedom, which you really start to crave when you're basically being led by the nose. They just shove their fingers down your nostrils like, here's the story, and you're going to follow it. No choice in the matter whatsoever. And that's Tower of Time's biggest sin. It's one of those, again, Jordan brought up the show, don't tell thing. This is a tell, don't show. And I've mentioned time and time again, I don't like games that just tell me things instead of showing me things. Here you have 2018, peak of technology. You have engines like Unity. You have engines like Unreal. You can literally create the world you want people to learn the story of, and you're instead filling my screen with text boxes because, yeah, I don't know. Well, there's also the fact that the main character is just referred to as you, but when it comes time to actually letting you play the game, it just doesn't. I mean, you have an avatar in the game, and you can't do shit about it. The camera issues and the character selection issues only really exacerbate just how restricted and how kind of weird it feels to play this game, and the linear story just doesn't really help it at all. I'll give it 2 chairs because I can see that a lot of work was put into this. A lot of things were done right, but a lot of things were just not done.
Did I freeze? Y'all can hear me, right?
No. This game is so bad it killed Jordan. Not really. Yeah,
just a video.
Yeah. I had a bit of a network hiccup. Anyways, that's 1 chair for fun, 2 chairs for the entire game. I'm getting feedback. Final thoughts.
How about feedback? Because I can keep talking for like another 30 minutes if this is really bugging you.
Well, it's only me.
No. Anyway, that's going to do it for this. That was, what was the name of the game again?
Tower of Time.
Tower of Time.
Okay, put it in your face if you want. Maybe give it a shot. If you're into it, D&D, kinda. Who knows?